I'm Matt Bishard with REIT.com here in New York City for REITWeek 2014. Joining me today is Lorenzo Berho, Chairman and CEO of Vesta. Lorenzo, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Matt. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Now, I'd like to start, what impact did the 2012 IPO have on the way Vesta operates, and have you been able to achieve the goals that you set out in that IPO?
Okay, well, first of all, for a company like ours, we had worked with private institutional investors and personal investors since we created Vesta, and this was 16 years ago. And after a few years, we had basically the business model was at its limits. So we decided we have the right scale and this is the right time to take the company to the next level, to take it public. So we did take it public 2 years ago in July 2012, and we raised $250 million. 80% of that was primary resources. So with that, we were able to have fresh capital to keep on developing in Mexico. Now, having not only that, the year after, we went again to the market and raised another $200 million in a follow-on. This was pretty well accepted by the markets. They already knew the story of the company. Most of them knew Mexico and realized the benefits of investing in an emerging market. And through that time, we have been able to basically invest $200 million throughout these first 2 years, ranging from building development, build-to-suits, inventory buildings, and acquisitions that strategically we did.
And what impact are government reforms aimed at boosting foreign investment and growth in Mexico having on your company?
Mexico, what needed really was additional reforms, structural reforms. And this is something that were not able to be done by past presidents. And this presidency has been able to align interest from the three main parties in order to get through 8 major structural reforms. And out of those reforms, we can talk about labor reforms, education reform, political reform, but basically the most important for our business is the energy reform. And the energy reform is pretty much related with costs of electricity. And this is where lower cost of electricity represents more competitiveness from manufacturing companies that want to move to Mexico. And also, lower cost of electricity, it represents major increasing the capacity of the purchase power of the Mexican, especially the middle class. So the combination of investments plus an increase in consumption will be additional percentage in GDP growth in the next few years.
And lastly, your multinational clients come from a variety of industries: aerospace, automotive, food, beverage. Where are you currently seeing the most growth potential?
Okay, well, I like to mention the middle class, not the middle class, but the emerging class. And that has been growing strongly in Mexico. So the national consumption is important, especially if you foresee this for next years, and you understand. So logistics, that represent 40% of our tenant base, has to do a lot with food and beverage, and logistics has to do a lot with domestic consumption. And that is growing. That is a sector that we see that growing, especially close to the largest city of Mexico. Now, on the other hand, there is especially 2 sectors that have been dominating the market and increasing their investments, even that some of them are not still represented in the GDP growth immediately. The first one is the auto industry. The auto industry, I would say, has taken advantage of a strategic location, of a trained labor force, of the supplier base already established in Mexico, and the competitive cost that Mexico brings compared to other countries and other platforms, especially Asia and China directly. Now, on the other hand, aerospace. Aerospace was not even in the radar screen in 2007. We were able to win, we were awarded with the aerospace cluster in Querétaro, and that's where Bombardier has his anchor base in Mexico, but not only Bombardier, but Safran Group, Erudeptec, Megit, all these new companies for Mexico are really investing. Today, Mexico has almost 300 companies in the aerospace business, and they are growing at more than 20% a year since 2002. So this sector is a very dynamic sector. We are very close. We every year go to Le Bourget or Farnborough in order to attract new investments to Mexico, and I think that Vesta is well positioned on that sector. There are other sectors like medical devices in the northern part of Mexico or electronics that still keep their own rhythm, but I would say that automotive, aerospace, and the logistics in the domestic market.
Lorenzo, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Matt.
For more on this and other REIT news and analysis, be sure to visit REIT.com.